Sir, you're charged with interference with the duties of a public servant. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. Have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
On April 5th, 2025, a law enforcement officer conducted a traffic stop due to a heavily tinted motor vehicle in Harris County, Texas, and also for the defendant's failure to signal within 100 feet before making his turn. The officer told the defendant to lower his windows for safety. The defendant slightly lowered the rear window. The officer was still unable to see inside the vehicle. The officer asked the defendant again to lower the window. The defendant said he did not have to. The officer observed the defendant acting nervously by breathing heavily and staring at the floorboard of the motor vehicle. The officer told the defendant to step out of the vehicle for safety. The defendant refused. The officer opened the driver's door and told the defendant to step out of the vehicle. The defendant declined again. The officer grabbed the defendant's wrist and attempted to pull the defendant out of the vehicle. The defendant resisted by clenching his fist and pulling his arm away towards his body. And the officer told the defendant to step out again, to which the defendant stated he did not have to. The officer attempted to pull the defendant out of the motor vehicle. The defendant continued to resist by pulling his arm towards his body. The officer was able to pull the defendant outside of the car. The defendant again resisted by clenching both fists and refused to place his hands behind his back by tensing his arms and pulling away. The officer and his partner forced handcuffs onto the defendant in order to perform the arrest.
Sir Upshaw, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with your case. The only bond condition I'm placing on you now, sir, is that you're not allowed to drive unless you have a valid license, a Texas driver's license, and liability insurance in your name. I'm just asking you to follow the law. If you do not have one or the other, then you're not allowed to drive. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.